Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back. It's time for Ask Broman episode 94. I'm very excited. I feel like the flow of all of these are, there's not as many coming out to you right now in the podcast world, but we always have really good guests. And today I am excited to introduce my account manager from OPG, Audrey.
Hi,
this is Audrey. So, I don't know if I've gone into detail on the podcast before, but I hired OPG as a management agency about 2.5 years ago. And so they work for broadcasters that hire them to sort of manage sponsorships and kind of everything now. Like there's
a little bit of everything.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. Omid, the CEO, likes to call it full service management, which is incredibly accurate. So to sort of kick things off, I am curious, Audrey, like, how did you find that? Like, how'd you get the job, right? Because I think there's a lot of people who are listening to this. They're like, I don't, streaming's cool. I don't really want to be a broadcaster, but I'd love to work in this space. And so you kind of have the job for that, that isn't influencer manager or something like that for a larger organization, which has all these other pitfalls and different types of struggles attached to it. So yeah, how'd you get the job?
Well, it's actually kind of funny. So I was not at all in the gaming industry or anything like this before. I was always like a fan and kind of things like that. But
okay.
I have a friend who worked at Online Performers Group, and she was just on Facebook saying that they were hiring. And I had just graduated from college. I have a degree in English. Woo! And
go English.
And I kind of read the description for the account manager job, and I was like, that sounds like something I can do. And my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband,
congratulations.
He encouraged me. Thank you. He encouraged me to apply for it because he was like, this sounds like you. You should just do it. And so I did, and it was really great because while I had somebody there that I knew, she was just like, I'm just kind of handing your stuff over. Like I'm not going to look at it. I'm not going to say anything about it. Like it's up to Jen and Omid to decide if they want to move forward here. So
gotcha.
The stars just kind of aligned, and it just kind of, it became like a really great just amalgamation of things to just kind of happen.
so you got the job the same way you'd get any other job, which
pretty
is
much,
you applied, you knew somebody who made you aware, but then you applied and got the job. And I think that's, I love that that's the story, by the way, because so many people have stories of like, oh, well, I knew this guy and like my boy hooked me up and it was like, my boy. So I think that it's really cool. And it speaks a lot to how much the gaming space has matured, because OPG is not a massive company. When you can, it's like what, 20 people right now, 30 people right now. It's not like EA. There's not 50,000. Yeah, there's not like 5,000 people working there. But if you are interested in getting into the gaming space, there's ways to get careers all over the place.
And I think it's important that people know that it's not like you don't have to have been in this space already. You don't have to have a ton of experience. Like if you just make your passions known, like if companies know like you are really into gaming, then like you're probably going to be a good fit.
That's actually a really good point, and that's something I bring up a lot with a couple of people that have asked me about. Oh, I want to get a game dev job. How do I do that? And it's really, if you are active on social media and people can see like, oh, look at this person, they're clearly talking to developers and they're interacting with broadcasters, like. If you put that shit out there, when people are doing their research on you, they're gonna hire you because you make sense, as opposed to somebody who's just another sheet of paper in front of them.
Right. And like I do the thing. I look through resumes. I look through so many resumes, and like if I read a resume that I think is like pretty interesting, then I go on social media and I look for this person. I do light stalking is what I call it.
Light stalking, and that's market research.
Yeah, that sounds better.
No,
and I think it's really important, like for people to know, like, hey, potential employers are going to look at your social media. They're going to see who you're talking to, what you're saying, like definitely be aware of that kind of stuff.
Keep it clean.
Yep.
Don't.
Or clean enough.
Clean enough. I mean, yeah, be a human being, but like, you know, if you're, just don't go around liking all kinds of porn and shit. Okay. You know, that's I mean, that's you don't want to get caught like, you know, a senator with your pants down. Like, you don't want to. You don't want everyone to be, oh yeah, that's what you're into. Okay, cool, neat.
Okay, right,
or just, you know, if you get caught, just own it.
Right.
So that's awesome that's how you got involved. So you are an account manager for OPG. I would love for you to kind of break down for anyone, what does a normal day look like for you working with broadcasters or working in the streaming space? And I know there's no such thing as a normal day because I'm a streamer. So, but like in general, like it doesn't have to be hour by hour, but like, what are some things that you see coming up? Like maybe if you spread it out to a week, right. It'll make more sense. Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to say, yeah, the day to day is like completely different, but for the most part, it's like, you know, come in the morning and read through my own emails and the emails that my clients have gotten in, and just kind of like assessing potential deals that have come across, while also taking care of the deals that are already in progress. We kind of do things in very like specific order,
okay,
because we found it's like the best way to kind of do the things that everybody has the most transparency. So, you know, a lead comes in for a potential deal, we assess that, we get back to the potential sponsor, we find out as much detail as we can about what they want to do, or we help them figure out what they want to do, which is a big thing that we take care of. And then we go to the clients and, you know, we say, hey, is this something you'd be interested in? Here's all the details that we have. And like what we're going to propose you at potentially for this kind of activation. And then it moves on from there of like actually getting contracts in order and reading over and reviewing contracts, making sure they don't have any crazy language in them. And then helping our clients fulfill their obligations for their sponsors. And in all of this, the focus is really for the sponsors to have a good experience, but most of all for our clients to have a good experience and making sure that they're getting fair rate and everything fair across the board. But if the sponsors also feel like that, then hopefully they'll come back and keep spending their money on influencers, which is what we want.
Yeah. How do you all, because I think this is something that a lot of people are super curious about. You say like you get a lot of deals in that you guys have to evaluate. There's two things you mentioned that I think is really important for like knowledge for anyone who's listening to this as an aspiring broadcaster. One, you mentioned that you assess those deals, and then two, you mentioned educating people who don't really know what they want. So when you're assessing a deal, what does that look like?
Well,
more particularly, before we even go there, how do people reach out to you all?
So, really good questions. So people usually will reach out to our clients on an individual basis. We encourage all of our clients to put up their OPG email address on their accounts, so you might see those kind of like around on different social medias. And all emails that come into clients also go to the client themselves, not just us, so everybody sees them. And then we kind of dig deeper into the companies from there. We'll read like the initial email that they come across with, and sometimes they will have just a plethora of details in there, which is perfect. But sometimes it's really vague, so we'll write them back and be like, hey, what are you trying, like, what are you thinking, what are your goals with this campaign? And that's something really important that as a small broadcaster to ask to a potential sponsor is, what are your goals here? Because then you can know if you can actually meet those goals. And then sometimes we also get reached out to on our website or to us individually on the side. There's a number of different agencies and companies that we work with, that we've worked with a lot in the past, that'll just like email us on an individual basis, be like, hey, I have another potential thing coming up here that I wanted to talk to you about. And include all the clients you think would be a good fit, kind of thing. That happens a lot as well. So I think for like if you're doing this on your own, if you're a broadcaster, you're looking out for your own sponsors and everything like that, it's really important to Google people. Like, it sounds so dumb, but like just
go on. That's
good,
great
Google
advice.
Search, you know, looking on the interwebs and trying to find out who the people are that are like talking to you directly, who runs the company that they're reaching out about. If it's an agency, looking into who they've worked with in the past. And you can pretty easily find out if somebody or company has like a not great reputation, or that if you know, maybe they didn't give a lot of detail about the product they want you to be sponsoring. So then you can go and find out more about it without having to ask them. You can find out for yourself.
Yeah. It's super important to know a little bit more about what you've got, who's talking to you, because there's plenty of folks that are just kind of out there. And this leads to the education part of things. I think that it's different than 3 years ago, but there are people who, you know, they listen to podcasts, or they listen to, you know, people who are telling them how to do marketing. And then someone in a marketing meeting goes, we need to be on Twitch. And then they just start sending emails to anyone that says Twitch broadcaster in their profile.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, we'd like to work with you. Like, oh, cool. What do you make? Mops. All right. So why? Like, you know, so you're gonna, which like I could do a great mop campaign. I'm just saying, but
I know you could.
You get weird, you get interesting requests. You get people who might not know what they want.
Right.
And sometimes they're bigger brands. And this was actually one of the reasons I wanted to have you on, Audrey, is because you've been my account manager for like 2.5 years.
Yep.
Like, you've been my account manager since day one, and you've seen everyone that's kind of come through the door and everyone that we've worked with. What is something, the number one thing you would like to tell someone who's part of a big brand that isn't in the streaming space yet? What is the like one or two things you think they need to know?
Oh, this is a good one.
Or like step one and step two that you have every single time to educate folks, you know?
Definitely come into it with a vague idea of your goals for a campaign. And even if you don't know what you want to do, if you're like, you have literally no idea about the entire space and the links of which you could go to, it's like, you could just do like a 2-hour sponsored stream and a tweet, but what else can we do there? You don't have to know any of that, but just knowing like, yeah, we have sales goals for this, or we have very particular goals of just getting our name out there, and seeing more followers on our Instagram or something like that. Like anything like that, like those particular goals are what's going to be what makes or breaks a campaign for you. And you want to spend your money wisely, obviously. Like, you have a particular marketing budget. How do you spend it right? Well, that's the first step, is knowing your goals. I'd say secondly, it kind of goes into, you know who is right for your brand, know your audience, which, like, I think everybody probably knows their audience, but and how it relates to this space. So even if you have no education into like streaming at all, or influencer marketing, it's kind of being like, yeah, well, our core audience is from, you know, ages 50 to 85. Then maybe streaming isn't the best place for you to spend your money, right?
Yeah.
But knowing those and then like giving them to the people that you're going to be talking to, I think is really important. It's like, especially if it's like a wider agency or a management company, just being like, yeah, this is all the things that we want to do, and these are the demographics that we want to hit. Okay, great. We can help you find those people that would fit for this. That audience is there.
So you definitely would say, like, have a general plan of your goals, because that's a conversation. Yeah. That's a conversation that we've had before, where a sponsorship will look really good when we'll be talking through everything, and then suddenly the people will mention the C word to you, and they're like, we really want to drive conversions on this, which usually means, well, there's a major resist mod chat. We really want to drive conversions on this, which depending on the kind of company, it might not. Twitch is great, but it's a different kind of campaign. Like, I personally don't usually like doing campaigns where it's all about, I'm essentially turning myself into a salesman for a product, because I'm not, I don't perform the best under that circumstance. I'll sell really hard for charity, but
well, most influencers don't perform well under those circumstances.
Yeah.
You know, like, and this is something that we harp on a lot to our clients and potential clients, is like, you're not a salesperson.
Yeah.
Like that's not what you do, because then you'd be probably doing that, right? Like you, influencers are really good at getting the word out, and it's like, it's word of mouth. That's what it's about. It's a friend telling you that a product
is
or
good,
a game
or isn't good.
Is good. Yeah.
Hopefully is good if you're paying, but marketing, but that's the other thing. And this is the hidden point about King's Coast that I like to bring up when anyone's being extra shitty about it. They're like, well, yeah, he's fucking blah, 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 blah. And I said, I want to ask you a question. When's the last time everyone in a Twitch chat told you they loved something? And they're like, oh shit, I've never heard a single bad thing about King's Coast ever, because good marketing reveals the quality of a product. And so if you have a shit product and you do a really awesome streaming activation, or maybe not shit, maybe you just have something that isn't timing the market correctly. My favorite comparison on this, and someone in chat actually brought it to my attention, we were talking about the Apex activation, right? So Apex Legends blew up almost overnight because they paid the top 50 to 100 BR streamers on Twitch to stream it for 3 days, and then the game was also really good. Okay, it aligned very well. There was an incredibly similar group of ad spending that happened about a year previously on a game called Lawbreakers that did the exact same thing. It had the same concurrency and viewership for its activation days, and then the game fell off a cliff. Which is super unfortunate, but it was, it might have had more of a chance in the market if the game hadn't been exposed to everyone that quickly. But because it's like an A/B test on the marketing. If you have a great product, it's going to make it blow up real quick. So definitely make sure you're bringing something that people want to play or watch.
And I think there's some amount of like being honest with yourself about your product, right?
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
And being very aware of the people that you're going after for certain things. And I think this is super duper important, and something that I've seen many companies are still learning.
Okay.
And oftentimes we'll go headfirst into something with influencers that probably have like really good viewership and really good numbers across the board, but probably aren't the best fits for their product.
Yes.
But they're really excited to just work with that person, and that person's really excited to work with them. But there's no like extra thought of, well, their audience really likes this particular kind of game, and our game is really, really, really different from that.
Yeah.
So how is that going to work out? And it's maybe something that the influencer really likes to play, but it's not great for the audience. So, and then there's disappointment that they didn't reach certain KPIs, or key performance indicators. Key performance
indicator, Chad. There's a nice little internal conversation. Yeah. So, and that's a big thing. I think that a lot of folks that come into the gaming space are like, I want to spend on the biggest, most gigantic broadcaster I can. And you have the entrepreneur's delusion. My shit's the best. No one ever. It's so good, and all this other stuff. And then you start to get the message out there, and maybe you don't have the best delivery mechanism, and it sort of falls flat. I think that one of the things that Twitch does better than any other platform is it allows you to hyper target the messenger for your product. And if you select the 10 best messengers for your product on Twitch, regardless of their size, you will see an incredibly disproportionate return. And I think that goes for streaming in general. Like very recently, and I don't know if we've talked about this on the podcast yet, but we brought on another partner for Rare Drop, and his name's Tim, and he's a broadcaster on Facebook. It's Darkness429 over there. He's a great guy, and Tim's helped us from the shadows for like over a year. He worked for free with us on a lot of stuff and helped connect us with a lot of people. So we finally brought him on as a partner for Guardian Con and King's Coast and all that stuff. And I told Tim for a long time, just, wait until you have a roast with King's Coast. It'll destroy things. And he'll be like, I mean, I don't know. I work with these other companies and I don't know. But Tim is an example in my mind of somebody who's a fantastic messenger for things that he enjoys, because Tim's an everyman. And so if you're a normal person, you're going to look at Tim and be like, oh God, he's just like me. This is great. I love it. And he likes this. Cool. I'll buy it. No second questions. Like no questions asked. Yep. And when we finally launched his roast, it is still to this date the best performing coffee that we have ever launched.
Nice.
Yeah, because Tim is one of, he's a great messenger, Yep. And that's not for nothing. I mean, like, we have other huge people that are a part of our brand and that work with us and things like that. But when you find someone who is just truly the perfect messenger that you need in the streaming space, it'll outperform your wildest expectations, which I think is the marketing thing that everyone's trying to chase down when these big companies start contacting you.
Well, yeah, this is ideally what companies want, is the perfect messenger, right? They want what you're talking about. And I think a lot of them figure, well, if, this person has 20,000 people watching their stream, then they're probably a really good messenger. But that's not necessarily true across the board. And so it's like you have to focus less when you're first looking for people, less on like their numbers and their size, and more on like the message they bring across, kind of who they are. And it's so easy on these streaming platforms because you can literally just watch it. You can see it for yourself.
If you are working at a company that wants to advertise on Twitch, and you took 20 hours out of your work week to look around Twitch to try and find somebody that you feel like would be a good fit, it would do so much good for you and your company. Yep. Because, and I know it sounds dumb, but like, I'm not joking. Like, no matter the size of your company, if you're looking to advertise on Twitch, convince your boss to let you watch streams for a week. So that way, when you go talk to Audrey or you go talk to whatever agency you're going to work with, you can be like, we want to work with these people because they synergize with our brand.
Yep.
Because it goes so far.
I think, like, there could be a lot to be said about, like, well, I want to save time on this, and I don't want to spend the time doing all this stuff. So I want to find the companies that know these people well.
Yes.
And that's a lot of what we do, is like, I know who would be a really good fit for your product because I know these clients. But not everybody has that, right? And especially if you're doing it on your own, if you don't have a support team to help you out, you have to tell companies yourself why you are good for their product, why you're a good match, which can be really challenging because it's like, you may not have the numbers that they are focused on looking at, but it's like, but I talk about your product all the time on my stream and my audience knows that I really love it.
That's actually a question I wanted to ask you. I had another thought I wanted to make sure I put out here. The reason why I started working with you is that reason in particular, was because I was like, I didn't have the time to go out and reach out to these people because I was streaming so much, but I also just didn't, like, that is not my wheelhouse.
Right.
I am not the best salesman of myself. Just personality wise, like, I'll talk up my friends all day, but when it comes to be like, you're good too, Ben, I'm like, maybe no compliments. That makes me uncomfortable.
Don't say that.
But I mean, like, that's how I am.
Yeah.
So it was incredibly helpful for me to, link up and start working with you all. And I think that now that the streaming space has grown up a little bit, just like you said, if you're a small indie developer, or if you're like a mom and pop shop that's sort of trying to expand their online sales, you don't have the time because you're working a lot too. Right. And to find the broadcasters you want to work with. And that's why I think, and I mean, I'm a little biased, but OPG is the goddamn best at what they do in industry. I've never seen people educate and connect people as well as them, and I'm happy to be represented by them, chat. And I would tell them to go off if I thought they were doing a shit job, because you know me. So yeah, I think that's that is one of the reasons a lot of people ask why specific things exist in the gaming space, as if it's any different than anywhere else. But there's a big important reason why support staff exists in every industry, and I think that having someone else that knows it and that has done the legwork is major key to all of that. If you don't have the time, which you probably fucking don't.
Right. And that's what we say. Like, we're here to help people who really don't have the time to do this themselves. Like, when every day when you come to check your email, you have over 100 unread emails. Like,
yep,
that's a lot. Like,
there is, when we started working together, I think there's a possibility that I could have managed that. But now with Guardian Con and King's Coast and Rare Drop and all of the redacted crap I can't talk to you about yet that we're working on, there's no way. When I look at my email inbox, I'm looking at where are the fires I need to put out, where who is contacting me that wants to work with King's Coast, who's contacting me that wants to work with Guardian Con, how's the charity marathon looking, how are all these various ventures that we have to try and improve all of those things, because we're constantly trying to adapt as a company, and there's just no way in hell I'd be able to do it. Which is why I'm so grateful to have a team of people that can help. Well, and
it's great about our team is that we're all so excited to be able to do that. For
she's not clients. Feeding you a line, chat. That's the goddamn truth.
Like, and it sounds so funny, but like I love my job so much because I am so excited to help in the first place, but then also so excited to help these people in the gaming industry that I really admire. So it's super duper fun. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, it sounds like a dream job of sorts for some people. So a question I get asked a lot, and since you're more of an expert than I am, when should a broadcaster start seeking out sponsored work or working or preparing themselves in order for those conversations?
Right.
Like, are there numerical minimums to that conversation? That's the big kickback that everyone gets, and I'd like to start the conversation there. Like, I'm X size. Is this should I even fucking bother?
Yeah. And I think, okay, so while there are kind of numerical like benchmarks could probably pick out, I tend to try to stay away from those because it's so dependent on the person. And I think even now, especially on Twitch, we've seen people with like lower follower numbers, but like much almost abnormal like viewership numbers, right?
Greater depth of connection.
Yeah. So it's like, while I can say, hey, you need to have at least 15,000 followers, that may not necessarily be an accurate representation of anything at all. I think it kind of comes down to, if you feel that, okay, I'm at a point in my broadcasting career now that it's actually fairly serious, and I feel like I could be a good representation for certain brands. And obviously, like, I think a lot of people would just look at themselves and be like, duh, I could sell that. Like, I could be a good representation. But you have to be really honest with yourself, which can be really hard.
Incredibly.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing to do. And I think it requires a lot of self-reflection and taking the time to just know, like, I can do this, or I am right for this, and I want to impress this brand or really make an impact here. I think if you think you can do that, then you should try to go for it. I think probably, over 5,000 followers at the very least, but you'll see a lot of brands out there that have like affiliate programs or things that you could literally just sign up for. Honestly though, like, I don't recommend those.
Sure. Explain why. because I think that this is affiliate programs are tough.
So this is something that we deal with on almost a daily basis. There's brands that come out that people really want to work with, but they only offer like affiliate programs. And for those who don't know, like affiliate programs basically means that you are representing their brand, representing their product. They may send you free product, and you're not getting paid like a specific monthly fee for being sponsored by them.
Yeah.
But you probably have a link that people can click and they can buy things on that site, and you get a percentage of the sales. Or rev share is what we call that a lot. So with that, I don't, if you're really small and you want to just have a little bit of extra income and you're not taking it too seriously, like that's probably not a bad thing. But later on, like in your career, if you're moving on up and you're doing a lot of stuff and a potential sponsor comes up and sees you have 10 panel images,
yeah,
and they're
100 different affiliate links. Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, what are they really interested in? It's actually hard to tell. Plus, I don't. Affiliate sponsorships to me are almost like unpaid internships.
Sure, that makes sense.
Like that's kind of the correlation I make is like, an unpaid internship. You're doing a lot of lay work, but you're not getting paid for it. But you're getting the exposure to the company.
Sure.
Fantastic. But this is kind of the same as an affiliate program. It's like I'm doing the work to really represent myself in a nice light to this brand. So maybe someday they will pay me a monthly fee to be their sponsor.
I would say working with an affiliate program, you should have an end point. Like, yes. Yeah. And I mean,
like, okay, I'll work with you on a preliminary basis of 6 months and see how it goes.
Yeah. Well,
and then we can talk further.
As someone who, I mean, like we have affiliates with King's Coast, right?
Yeah.
But we structured off because I know all that shit and I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
But we had so many people asking to do an affiliate program for a long time, and we just basically told everyone no, because we could not as a company find a product, a SaaS product, software as a service product that met our needs, because everyone else is like, use code shitfuck or use this link, bit.ly.com/shitfuck. Like whatever. I hate it because I feel like it doesn't properly, we lost Kevin. It doesn't properly represent someone's exposure, the amount of exposure that they're bringing your brand. So like what we did was our site's a Shopify site, and Shopify has a SaaS tool that allows us to generate a unique link, but it keeps a data cookie in that browser for 30 days. So if anybody, like let's say you're watching Z Photo Gaming, he's one of the people who's an affiliate with us, and you check out our website first from him, and then you come to my stream 3 fucking weeks later and you buy something when I talk about King's Coast, he gets paid. Yep. Because the problem with a lot of affiliate programs is attribution. And if you cannot get successful attribution because, and I'm guilty of this, your friend has a code, but you just use code whatever because they're the biggest name that you can remember instead, then that's not accurate attribution. That's making someone else's numbers look better than they should. And I know that you're thinking, like, if you're listening to this, you're like, no, I would never forget someone's code. And I'm like, I did it when I bought a PC. I wanted to use Corey's code for I Buy Power, and I tried it like 5 different times and looked it up and it didn't work. So I just used Lyric's code. This was like 3 years ago. He's my best friend. But I needed to buy a PC, and I was frustrated, and I was sick of it, and I was like, okay, well, whatever. I need this 5% off. Here, I'll code Lyric. And I like Lyric too. But see, that's the problem with attribution-based systems, and even in our affiliate contract, like the way that we run it, it's designed in a structure that builds towards a long-term partnership.
Well, and that's how they should all be.
Yeah.
That should be the focus, and
cyber power. Sorry, chat.
Oh no.
Oh well. Never had a PC sponsor.
sponsor is gone.
Oh my
no,
God.
And I think that's something if you're just coming up and you're a newer broadcaster, or you've been doing it and you want to, do more sponsored stuff, or an affiliate is kind of the path you want to go along right now, then you have to be really picky about the affiliate sponsorships you decide to sign up on, and be very cognizant of the tools that they use to track what your sales are. It's like, oh, I have a specific landing page, and if anybody buys anything on my landing page, then I get it back. But it's like, yeah, but what about all the people who come back later?
Yeah.
Or on mobile. And this is something to think about a lot. What if people are on mobile? They don't want to click away and open a new web page.
Yeah.
To buy exactly from your store. They're going to look it up later. So being aware of that kind of stuff, and asking those questions, like, okay, what do you guys use? Do you store cookie data? Like, do people have to use my code, or can they do some other kind of thing? Like, just seeing all the options that are out there and making sure that you're aligning with brands that you actually enjoy.
We've declined, and not everyone will do this, but like we've declined affiliate status to people because their streams look like NASCAR jackets.
Oh,
yep. So there is, and I think that as the advertising marketing space educates itself a little bit more, more and more people will look at this person says yes to everything, pass. Because how much can that individual actually represent your brand if they're representing 10 different things at the same time?
Exactly.
I
mean, this is something we say about our clients all the time. Is like, our clients decline around 90% of all the deals that come into them.
I say no a lot.
Yeah.
I say no a lot.
We tell people, say no. Tell us no.
You're not gonna
hurt my feelings.
There's only one time in recent memory that I went back and I was like, look, I know I said no, but I changed my mind. Right. And that was the Mortal Kombat stuff.
Right.
And I told everyone in chat, I was like, chat, I'm not playing fucking Mortal Kombat. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And then I saw the clip I saw a clip and I was like, okay, I have to play this game even if it makes me throw up. It's going to be really funny. And then that was one of my favorite streams of all time. And I would have never, and this is, I think that this is like an ideal situation for somebody who's marketing. I was paid for 2 hours. I played the whole goddamn game. And then I actually played their game during an activation for another thing because I liked their game so much. And so they got 5 times more playtime out of me than what they paid for because I love the game. Yep. Another great example of this is Risk of Rain.
Oh my God, yes.
They gave me 1 hit of that and it was like heroin. And I was like, okay, I will play this game a lot now. I'll play
with T-Pain. I don't even care.
Yeah, I'll play with T-Pain. That sounds great. So it's been it's really interesting to see where activations and where streams can go from like a marketing standpoint. What would you say is like the biggest red flag for somebody who that's looking into sponsored work on the streamer side? Like, is there one really obvious thing that you're like, if you see this, run?
I mean, racism is a big one.
Why? I'm so terrified that's the first thing out of your mouth. Is that something that happens a lot? Like an email that's racist?
No, actually, it doesn't. It really doesn't.
Okay.
Do you mean from like if I am a sponsor looking for a streamer, or like
streamer? If you're a streamer, if you're a sponsor looking at a streamer, you don't want someone who's racist, you don't want a bigot. Okay, it's a smart move. But no, as a streamer looking for a sponsor, yeah. Now your answer makes more sense.
Racist. No,
don't work with overt racists. Oh, smart. Good one.
I think the biggest, a kind of red flag to really be aware of and like watch out for these kind of things. If you look the person up or the company up and you have a very hard time finding anything out about them, that should be a red flag. Sometimes it will be for something that is not yet announced, or like super NDA, super secret, and that's one thing. So you can expect to probably not find anything, but especially if like an email comes to you from like a Gmail or a Yahoo or a Hotmail account or something like that, that's not like a branded website, just kind of do a little more digging on those. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're not legit, but you may just want to do a little more research before you jump in.
Yeah, that actually seems, that's one of the best pieces of advice. Someone who's trying to reach out to you from Activision is going to have like .activision or activision.com in their email address. And if you don't, and if like they don't, it's probably not a direct representative of the company.
Right. And they may be using the same name as the direct representative, but believe you me, somebody from that company would be reaching out with their work company email
address. Not personal. Yeah,
not a personal email address. If they're reaching out for personal, then it's better specifically in there say like this is a personal request or something like that, which is not going to be something that's paid anyway, right? So.
Yeah, exactly. That's super good. That's super good. All right, we have 20 minutes left, or 15. 6 minutes left.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll have to do this again. Damn. Yeah. Fart. So chat, if you have a question you'd like to ask Audrey or me, go ahead and hop into Discord right here. Or you can drop a question in chat and we will do our best to answer it with the time provided. that's what I can do for you. It's a
lightning round.
Yeah, it's a lightning round, chat. Lightning round for sure. And also, as always, during the podcast, thanks for all the subs and prime subs and all that stuff. You guys are great. I fundamentally don't believe you don't have any questions. So let's, all right, let's get a friendly cow. This is a friendly cow. How you doing, friendly cow? Hi. What can we do for you? Is this gonna...
I had a question about I'm basically a game designer.
Okay.
Solo, and I'm creating my project, and I also was looking for how can I present my game for invite beta for streamers.
Okay, so you have a game that you're deving and you're sort of trying to make like an invite only beta for broadcasters. Is that sort of what you're shooting for right now?
I'm also trying to find feedback, and then I would think for they, like, for example, if I invite you to the game, I also would like to reward back, so you get like in-game credit.
Okay.
And then special items to be known to support the game.
Okay.
Right, yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
This definitely sounds like an Audrey question.
So, I mean, yeah, like we get emails in all the time for people that are like, hey, you know, I would really like for you to check out my game. I think those things are kind of like really great because it's a really good, like you're representing that you want people to obviously give you feedback, but people who really know like the kind of feedback to give you are the people you're going to be wanting to reach out to. So people who play the same sorts of games as your game obviously is, and that maybe stream it, but also kind of realize that people may not have time to fit the game in either on or off stream, and you know, make your rewards exciting. You know, if it's a game people are really going to be into, and like in-game currency is going to help a lot in that, like that's awesome. That's a really great prize to have for like giving their feedback, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I also think, especially because I don't know the size of the project and all that stuff, but definitely one of the best things that you could do is if you're smaller is find broadcasters that you're active in chats, and there's no shame in just asking, hey man, I'm deving a game, I'd love your input, or I'd love for you to stream it, or check it out, or whatever. You know, I don't think you know, if anyone in my chat who is a regular had made that request of me, I wouldn't look at them like, oh, you're a piece of shit, you're just trying to use me. Like, there's no, unless it's the first time they're in a chat, in which case I would troll them and then ban them. But anywhere where you're active or you're a big member of the community, I think it's a great opportunity for you to just reach out and say, hey, I'm working on this. And they'll be, oh, fuck yeah, dude, I love you. You're in here every day. I'd love to look at what you got going on.
Giving people a chance that you really connect with and you talk to already, a chance to kind of like see your project, I think is really valuable.
Absolutely. You got any follow-up questions?
I don't, not on top of my head at the moment.
Okay, that's fine, man. Well, you want to let everyone know like what the game is that you're working on?
Yeah, it's more like a RPG, Doom related game.
Nice.
Okay.
So you have Doom, then you have your RPG skill tree.
Gotcha.
And the horror theme, basically.
Oh, that's
and
dope.
It's very fast-paced. At the same time, wanted to make it where you're playing similar like a Doom multiplayer, but there's monsters surrounding you as well. So you can kill players, or you can be on a on a team like you and a friend versus everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that, man. That's cool. Exciting. Well, cool, dude. Thank you so much for coming on, and we're gonna grab the next person.
All right.
Thanks, man. That was pretty good. It's pretty good.
Nice.
It's pretty
Nice.
Good. Let's get Welfare Fish in here really quick. Hey, Welfare Fish, what's up?
Hey, what's going on? Oh, yeah.
Not much. Doing stuff.
So, before I get to my question, just I wanted to update you because last time I was on, I had talked to you about kind of like balancing streaming and my theater and acting that I wanted to get into.
Right.
And since then, I have auditioned and gotten into 2 shows.
Nice.
So I just finished one run of Monty Python's Spam-A-Lot, and then I'm currently a part of Mary Poppins the musical as well.
That's amazing.
So it's a lot of fun. And then I also got into my #1 top choice for colleges to go study theater. So I'm very excited. And that's kind of what's happened since we last talked.
That's really incredible, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So what can we do now, sir?
I was curious on your opinions of the pay to get streaming advice services that seem to keep popping up, and like one will go away and then a new one will pop up, or like there'll be like all these ones going on, and it's like, do I cave in and pay for that, or do I just keep using all of the free assets that are around in the space, like just articles on the internet or your podcast, etc.?
Yeah. Here's the thing, and I've believed this about a lot in my life. There are things that have provable results. So like if I were to example pay for someone to teach me engineering, tutor me in engineering, I would have skill in architectural design, or like I could make better gears, whatever the fuck. There's provable results in my engineering tutoring, right? The issue when it comes to something like streaming is you're not necessarily guaranteed any sort of results from what you're paying for. And I understand like there's but Broman, there's acting classes and painting classes and all that stuff. But those are crafts that have been around for so long that there are still marked levels of improvement. When you get on stage and you do a scene that you did better because you can feel that you connected with people more. You can see your skill as an artist increase over time as you practice. My biggest concern with the sort of pay to coach strategy that a lot of people present is I see folks using it to bolster the size of their own community and then leverage that community into helping the people in that community get partnered, which is a very short walk off of the plank, right? Because eventually you end up with a community that's essentially follow for follow, and then everyone's broadcasting and no one's watching, and then you've basically just handed everyone affiliateship or partnership through this program, and then but they actually don't have the most important thing, which is the community to support that behavior long term. So that's my biggest concern. I don't think that forever will be that way. I think that eventually there will be some provable advice and coaching that you can get, but I also feel like that information is going to be out there for free. And the fact that we all live in an online space where things are constantly changing, things are, recontextualizing themselves, algorithms change, usually without any knowledge beforehand. A lot of the advice you may be paid for could be completely irrelevant soon. And at the core of it, I fundamentally believe that broadcasting is a lifelong learning experience. And if you can't teach yourself how to learn the skills necessary, whether that's AV, computers, broadcast management, audio, output, like all this other stuff. If you can't teach yourself how to do that, there's no reason to pay someone else when you can just teach it to yourself. And if you're constantly out there looking to pay for somebody to teach you something, I personally, as a learner, don't internalize things the same way. So I always try to caution people away from, if you let me coach you, you'll get partnered, or these are the most effective things that I've seen, or like whatever. Like, they can tell you that, but I can say the same shit, for free. And I do, I think that free resources in the age of the internet are usually of higher quality than people expect. It used to be you get what you pay for, right? But now the people who are giving you information for free are trying to give you your best possible information because they're trying to grow their platforms. So they are paying the cost of putting the information out, if that makes any sense. Like this podcast. I knew this podcast would do well because no one was doing it. Why did I do it for free when I could charge people for coaching? Because I don't really give a shit about the money right now, but I want to be the world's foremost expert on being good at streaming.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And I want to be recognized as that, so I have to do something like this to prove that that's true, instead of just walking up and saying, I'm smart, give me money.
Right.
So that's my thoughts. I don't know if Audrey has any.
I completely agree. Pretty much, I think a lot of what those kind of services offer is like a one-on-one touch-based give advice for your particular kind of situation. But I don't know if like the right course of action is there right now yet. Like it's still such a young thing, streaming and this kind of entertainment, that I don't know if there's specific benchmarks that are like, you have to do this in order to do this or to get to this spot. And I think, like Broman said, there's so much great free resource out there already that you don't really need to pay for it at this moment.
Yeah.
Yep.
But also, if that's your hustle, I'm not going to knock it. You do what you want.
Yep.
Ultimately, if you're out there and you want to get paid, go get fucking paid. But I'm going to speak my truth. Right. Awesome. So anything else, Welfare Fish?
Not really. I mean, I kind of just want to know your opinion because I'm in the same boat as you. Like, I think that there's just enough free assets out there. Like, I mean, I was going back through and listening to some of your older podcast episodes today just to like refresh on information because it's there and it's available, and I don't have to go and put $20 a month into it to learn this stuff. Or if I wanted to go learn about audio, it's, hey, let me go search how to make audio sound good in a live broadcast and read the first 10 articles.
Google is the best teacher you'll ever have. It is 2019. If you can't type your question into Google and learn what you want, you are in a load of trouble for the rest of your life.
You might have deeper problems.
Yeah, that's possible. Awesome. Well, thank you, Welfare Fish. Do you have anything you want to promote right now? Anyone your next show?
The one big thing is my stream, because I did return to streaming earlier this month. So mixer.com/welfarefish, and then if you want to know when I go live and stuff, there's also Twitter at *thewelfarefish, and yeah.
All right, man. Thank you.
That's it. Thank you, guys.
We're gonna try and get Phantom in here to close everything out. Thank you, Welfarefish. I can't talk anymore. Too much talking today. Hey, Phantom, what's up?
What's up, man?
How you doing today?
I'm great, man. How about you?
Wonderful. I'm doing wonderful.
Awesome,
what can we do for you today?
All right, so like,
Chad, I asked him to self-promote. Don't be weird.
So like, my question kind of has in line what Welfare was talking about, kind of like streaming. What I've always heard with like starting a stream is, you got to have a spark to ignite the flame. And that's always something I've wanted to do. I've been around streaming Destiny, video games like my entire life. And so I've always wanted to know like how it is that someone would go about, igniting that first spark into getting into streaming.
Like, are you talking about just like pushing the button for the first time or something different than that?
Well, like, if you want to build something out of it, like I know there's, if you're doing streaming just, make money as a career, that can go to the shit. But if you wanted to, start doing it as more of a hobby, as I know you and Goth, you guys started out and, oh shit, this is something cool.
That looks fun.
Right. It kept on going. How do you know, like, if you wanted to push this, I've got, technology and stuff around me that I could start with. How do you get it going? Like, if I wanted to promote something, or if I wanted to get those connections that would make streaming a viable option for me to do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. So I got two pieces of advice. One, if you're not streaming already, start.
Do it.
Yeah. And then my second piece of advice is would be active in communities that you're around. So I love Twitch. I love lurkers. Every time I say this, people get all fucked up about it. Okay. But listen, if you want to watch Twitch every single day and lurk your fucking head off and whatever, and just enjoy the show, that's dope. If you want to be a broadcaster, you need to sack the hell up and start talking. You need to, I don't know the best strategy, but find your 10 favorite channels and spend 15 minutes in every one of those channels actively contributing to chat every single day for months. And then be involved in communities external to Twitch. You mentioned Goth. Goth was a forum moderator for the Borderlands forums. I was incredibly engaged on the in the Borderlands 2 speedrun forum over on SDA. So I had some things external to Twitch as well. But the bottom line is you build community around who you are, and people don't know who you are if you're not speaking, especially if you're not speaking in the right places. So I would say interacting with people on social media, actually getting started and, talking to people and just being a positive member of the community. Someone who's been on this podcast and then has had incredible success, after, considering what we talked about with just doing that is Power GPU, who now has his own business building custom streaming PCs and providing tech advice to people who are getting into the streaming space. I watched him intentionally go out, and anytime somebody asked a question on Twitter that I followed about streaming or a streaming PC, he'd be like, hey man, send me a DM. I'd love to talk to you and help you figure this out. And, eventually it got to the point for him where he couldn't do that for free anymore. And so he started charging people. And now he has made computers for some of the biggest broadcasters in the space.
How about that?
Yeah, so it really is just being unafraid to talk. Like everyone on every form of social media is there to have a proctor and have a conversation about whatever it is you're talking about.
Right. Okay.
So those are my two biggest pieces of advice.
I like that. I like how blunt you are too. That does give me confidence.
I mean, the advice has to be simple or it's probably not right?
That's completely true. I agree.
Yeah.
Yep. Just do the thing. Push the button, go out there, talk, have a conversation.
Do the thing. I will keep that in my notes.
Yeah, do like actually starting, and they'll let you know what you love about it or what you don't love about it too. I think everyone is so worried about whether or not something will be successful that they spend all the time doing that, and then a year later they try it and they go, oh shit, I hate this. You could have skipped a year of your life, hemming and hawing over whether or not you like something, and you could have just tried it and be like, oh well, that fucking sucks, so fuck that. And then just move on. So yeah, man, that's what I got for you. You have any follow-ups to that?
Man, I just want to thank you, man. That means a lot to actually be able to come in here and talk to you personally.
Hopefully I'll get to do this more often now. I'm trying to figure my life out, but I'm glad that I'm glad to take the opportunity and chance to talk. I love helping people, so it's great. One last thing, you want to let everybody know where they can find you on the internet so they can follow with you. Yeah, my
twitch.tv/twitchphantom. I'm usually in chat about every other Destiny streamer.
Okay.
Stick around, you, Goth, Dado, T-Rex, everybody. You guys can find me in chat right there. My Twitter is @TwitchPhantom and my Instagram is @TwitchPhantom.
Fantastic, man. Well, thank you so much. You have a great day.
You too, man.
All right. What a great guy. That's very exciting. Yeah. One more for the rapid fire before we wrap this up. How do you get chat engaged with you like conversations? My patent advice for this is write down the 10 things you care / know the most about in the entire universe. Talk about thing 1 until you are sick of it, and then move on to talk about thing 2. And then after you hit 10, it's probably been an hour or so, and go back to thing number 1. That is the best. Advice. Yeah. Oh, okay. We're not going to wrap it up because this is actually a super important fucking question. I have a question regarding management as a content creator. I've heard people say that they don't want to lose any money or have to pay any amount. Is there an industry standard for management / services fees?
That's a good question.
I'm sure that this is on the forefront of everyone's mind after the things with Tfue and FaZe as well. So yeah, is there an industry standard? I think we can talk about what I pay, right? No, I can't.
It's a secret. It's NDA.
Oh, it's NDA. Oh, really?
Okay. Yes, technically.
Yes.
Like we do, OPG has a fee that we charge on only things that we fulfill for our clients. You know, if clients are definitely like going off and working on their own things, like an affiliate thing or whatever, we don't take a fee on that. But there are like industry standards. Most of them come from the entertainment industry and like agents, like talent agents and things like that. Mm-hmm. And usually those fees run anywhere from, I think, like 20 to 40%. But it varies. It definitely varies based on the company and the people you're talking to, and hopefully it doesn't vary within the company. And this is something that it may be hard to find out, especially if a management company that you may be trying to work with isn't very transparent. And my best advice is, if a company you're trying to work with isn't transparent, you probably don't want to work with them. Yeah. So finding that kind of stuff out like really early on, so if it's a good fit for you, is super important. And considering what you might actually quote unquote lose by having to pay a fee, basically.
Yeah.
We have to charge a fee so that we can keep
operate the business.
Work, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we can actually like do the stuff. But that's true for every company. But I think as long as you know what is being charged to you, and if your rate and your work is being accurately represented to companies, then you're probably in the clear. You're probably good. Ideally, you're getting more work in than you would be just on your own. Yeah. And you're having an easier job of managing it than just on your own. Yeah. So the fee is 100% worth it. it comes back in the amount of work that you end up getting in.
Yeah, in my mind, it's a transactional cost. Like I pay OPG to do things there's no way in hell I'd be able to do. Yep. And I mean, like the first year, I don't know if I got a shit ton of work, but I got literally every penny that I earned was money I would not have made otherwise, which is how I look at it.
Yep.
So if I'm paying a % on that, it makes sense because it's essentially free money. I mean, like I still have to do the work, right? I have to do the stream, I have the tweets, like whatever, and be a good representative of a product. I do my side of the work, but all of the legwork, which I just talked about, previously, I don't have to do any of that. It's it really depends. I can tell you that like 20 to 40% for complete management layer, or 20 to 40% for one thing. I know 10% standard for Hollywood agents. I mean, like Hollywood agents and managers and then this is a conversation about the industry maturing in my mind. Right. People in the gaming space are charging whatever the fuck they need to charge to keep their fucking business running. So the difference between that and Hollywood talent agents is Hollywood is an established dominion with laws in place where if you set up a plaque that says I am a representative of talent that's going to be in movies, and now this isn't muted, so that's going to make it on the podcast. Enjoy this brief moment of sound. I think in general fees are much more vast and variable in the gaming space than in Hollywood talent management. Ultimately, it is, do you think it is fair?
Yep. Do you think it's fair? Do you think you're going to get back what you might be, losing on the fee? What kind of management are you getting? What kind of representation are you
getting what you think what you're paying for? Right. I would be willing to give somebody a very large portion of my income if I felt like they were, bending over backwards and moving heaven and earth for me and made my life a fucking, little patty cake happy town place. You want to take 80% of my money and turn my life into that? Cool. That's great. It really depends on the value that you're getting out of it. So that's what I would say. I would say I'm incredibly happy with what I have to pay OPG. I'm glad Audrey told me that I'm not supposed to talk about that because I definitely was about to. But yeah, like they are the most fair company because I hear horror stories from other folks, and there's obviously horror stories in the news about 70% or more, depending on the type of the contract.
Yep. Well, and there's like other things that other contracts might be taking that we don't like. There's other agencies and management companies out there. I'm biased, obviously OPG is, but that will also take a percentage of like
they'll double
money
dip.
you get from subs and from tips. Like that's not so read your contracts.
Read your contracts.
Oh my god,
read your contracts. Listen, if you sign a contract that ends up being predatory, you can litigate it and get out of that contract 100%.
Yep.
But you don't want to have to fucking do that. That's the thing. Is like if you sign a contract that says that the person gets to own your firstborn child, that's illegal. They can't do that. But you're still going to have to go to court and get the contract nullified.
And you're still going to get a judge telling you, well, did you read your contract?
And
you're going to have to say no.
Yeah, the judge is not going to be like, oh, wow. He's going to go, why did you think it was okay to give away your kid?
Right.
I
didn't read the contract.
So this might be redundant, but is OPG a talent agency as far as it comes to acquiring deals? I forget how you operate as a management company, and this might be a better question for when I have Omid on because it's a company structure. But yeah, they're talent management.
Essentially, and that's what I tell people when like I know they probably don't understand the industry super well. Essentially, we're a talent management company. That's essentially what we do, but
they go above and beyond in a lot of other spaces. Like any event that I've ever been at, there's always somebody at OPG who's like, I'm very self-sufficient, but if I wanted to be a toddling little baby and like have somebody plan out my whole weekend, like, I don't know where I want to eat on Tuesday night, they do that shit for me.
I wish you would, man. Give me more work. Come on.
Yeah, Audrey doesn't like how. She's like, why don't you ask me to do? I'm very easy to work with, chat. I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. I reply to things on time, which is a big one. But yeah, like they do a lot. Obviously they do additional stuff for us as well. Like they represent our projects and interests to anyone they talk with. So OPG's been talking to people inside of the industry about GuardianCon since we started it, which is not something I'm paying them directly for, but it's getting the message of GuardianCon and gaming doing good and fundraising for St. Jude in front of more people. And eventually a decision maker will hear about something so many times they go, well, fuck, we might as well try it. and all of that has value.
Benefits all of them.
Yeah, so that's amazing. So I'm so confused. You say OPG, it's Orlando or Ontario, Canada Power Generation. That's really funny. So yeah, I think that I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to cover with you. Audrey's been a fantastic account manager for me. She's taken great care of me. OPG really does treat us like family, and I appreciate the hell out of that. They do work internationally. They have clients in the UK, and I
client in Germany,
Australia, fucking shit. they have clients everywhere. This will probably come up in the podcast mentions. How does OPG go about selecting clients? I feel like this will be a great way to end it up, and then we'll talk.
Oh, well, this is actually perfect because I am on the new client task force.
Oh, sick! It's a task force. They have batons.
We're gonna start getting badges, I think, like Girl Scouts. But
sick.
No. So we actually, we get a lot of inquiries into the website and DMs on our Twitter and all kinds of stuff from people who are super interested in working with us, and it's really a balance of knowing when we can take on more clients to work with, that we have enough people to help them in the office.
Staffing.
We just got to almost the 1 month mark on a new account manager, and another one starting tomorrow.
Yeah.
So and then I also, we do a lot of evaluation of people who reach out to us and people that are like kind of on a list, like, if you're doing pretty good, like viewership wise, and you're getting a lot of sponsor things, then we probably evaluate your channel to see if we move forward from there. And then it's a lot of talking. We have a lot of calls back and forth with people before we bring them on as clients to make sure that we're a good fit for them and that they're a good fit for us as well. It sounds weird because it sounds like, we're doing all this evaluation to make sure that we can work with them well, but ultimately it's clients hiring us to work.
That they it's not like, hey, we decided we're gonna work with you, sign this shit.
Right. I know the joke is that I'm the boss, but nah.
Yeah, I mean, that's why it's a funny joke for me, because I'm in charge of Audrey and she knows it. But yeah, like that's, it's that's a pretty great description. I think that OPG would represent every streamer that they possibly could that fit. But as I've gotten to learn a little bit more about the company, you do a lot for a lot of people, and it takes staff and time and hours to produce everything you guys do. So yeah,
and each client has a full support staff. Like there's account managers, there's account coordinators, there's the CEO, the COO, there's account directors. It's a lot.
It is definitely a lot. Audrey, do you have any last thoughts you'd like to leave with people?
If you really wanted to get into streaming and it's something that you super duper want to do, don't get into it because you think that you can make a bunch of money.
I think that is fantastic advice.
Get into it because you like to do it and because it's a fun hobby. Yeah. And then if you end up making money, that's freaking sick. That's awesome.
Yeah, and yeah, there's no there's no problem if you do want to make money, but understand that it's going to be a very long tail investment of your time. And if you're really, really looking to make a lot of money, go into fucking finance. It's not, I mean, if you can get a degree, you can start fucking cleaning the shit up. Okay. All right. Everyone, thank you so much for listening to Ask Broman today. Thank you for the incredible questions. I want to thank Audrey for being a great account manager for me and for answering everyone's questions and being in general a kick-ass person. Congratulations on getting married again. That's super awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing you at Guardian Con. Yes.
And my husband, he'll be there too.
Oh, sick! I'm very excited about that.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. Also, if you're listening to the podcast, Guardian Con is July 5th and 6th at Rose and Shingle Creek in Orlando, Florida. We still have tickets available. Borderlands 3 is going to be there and playable. Destiny is coming. Bungie's bringing Destiny and a whole exclusive Guardian Con event. Some unique stuff that will be happening only at Guardian Con, which is going to be really cool. We also have Vigil Extremes, and then we have a couple other AAA developers that have just committed that haven't announced yet. So that is going to be really cool. Along with that, we have 40 different artists coming from the gaming space, a whole bunch of content creators, main stage shows, panels. It's going to be a great time. Cosplay, all the good stuff. So please come hang out, celebrate the good that we do. We're going to be raising money for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. It's going to be phenomenal. So there's that. Thank you so much. If you've had any value if you learned anything today, the only thing I ask, if you don't want to rate, if you don't want to subscribe to the podcast, which I don't require you to at all, just tell someone that you know about this podcast if you think that it will help them. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.